Welcome back as we talk about an issue in every Bay Area community, domestic violence. Dr. Dana Hersey joins us right now. He is a behavioral analyst, and we thank you for your time, Dr. Hersey.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
An abuser, you deal with them in your treatment program.
Yes, I do. Yes.
Is there a pattern to abuse?
Well, one of the things that startled me consistently is in my groups, I would ask these men, when's the first time you ever witnessed violence? Mm-hmm. I can't grab a word for it, but I was stunned when I would have these guys say, when I was 5, when I was 6, and where was it? In the home. Mm-hmm. And often I see this. So we've got this deep, long history of this is a way to solve a problem. And most of these men will say, you know, I never wanted to be like, I never want that. But I just see it as such an old piece of history to rework, and they've adapted some strange strategies to problem solve. Mm-hmm.
Is it curable? Can you?
Well, you can break the cycle. Mm-hmm. And as you know, for anything that's cognitive and behavioral, which is kind of what this approach is, you have to be willing to understand that it's your behavior and you've got to change it. And are you willing to embrace the idea of change? For example, oftentimes I have these guys will say things like, she made me do it. She made me do it. So I will say, okay, come up here. They'll come up to the front of the room and I'll say, okay, may I borrow your hand? Because I never touch them without asking. May I borrow your hand for a second? So I grab their hand and I say, look, I want to shape your hand. I want to look at it kind of, may I look at your hand? So I put their hand like this and then I grab it really hard and put it in my throat and I push myself up against the wall with them usually trying to get away from me.
Right.
That's how someone makes you choke them. Did she do that to you?
What type of program or treatment do you go through if somebody were to come to your office?
For example, in Florida, we generally follow a power and control model that was originally, in some form of derivation, developed up in Duluth, Minnesota. And so that's the one we typically use. And it covers a number of areas, some of which are deal with, well, like I just said, the blame shifting, minimizing their violence, trying to teach people the difference between, look, you get angry, I get angry, but we don't decide to hit someone in the head.
Right.
So the anger is a human emotion, but violence is typically based on a root cause of I want to control this person. And I have the power, maybe because I'm physically bigger. And so I'm going to do it. I'm going to get my way. So we've had some people write on the topic who've talked about like living with a cobra. You don't know when it's going to strike.
And do you see that the violence comes in very gradually? They're very nice in the beginning, then they control financially, then they control a car.
I have seen that kind of isolation, but I have seen it, just, spring out of, of substance abuse issue. It's always sort of under the surface, but then I get a little alcohol in my system, and the next thing the person is personality change. Now they want to blame the alcohol.
Right.
Then I go back, no. That just happened to be
Part
situation, just part of the situation.
And that is common, where people have an addiction to drugs or alcohol?
No, I don't necessarily, I wouldn't want to say an addiction, but it's a cofactor often.
I see.
Cofactor, just like, I wouldn't have done it had I not been
drinking or under the influence.
Significantly under the influence,
Right. Wow, that's interesting. Is there a psychology behind an abuser?
I really wish I knew what the mindset was, but I think the core issue always goes back to I think one of the things that we see happening, And Dr. Coulter at USF did some research on this, that after the treatment, one of the pieces that remains in place oftentimes is emotional abuse. So I work a lot on trying to hear what the words are and beginning to understand, hey, things I say, they are just as powerful as my striking person. So I stop hitting or pushing or hitting or shoving, whatever I did.
Right.
But if I'm still calling you bad names, if I'm still thinking of you as this lesser form, then what am I? I've just changed. So it's fascinating to me. It's really interesting kind of challenge too. And I see some guys change, and I'm real proud of them. Some of them I'm real proud of.
For someone who's a survivor, quick advice?
Assess your situation. Have a safety plan if you're still living with that person. Use the courts in the necessary way. Not in a way to get even, but to get an injunction. You know, follow the court procedures.
The law is there to help.
That's my belief. And you know that for every person who has a issue with another individual, they're going to have a lot of soul searching, like, was I to blame? Did I bring this on? And I think we had chatted earlier a little bit about that Stockholm Syndrome. There's some of that involved, I think, where you get convinced. It's like you're brainwashed.
Right.
You know?
Dr. Hersey, thank you for your time and your knowledge. We really appreciate it. Next, coming up on the show, we're going to show you where to turn for help, whether you're a victim or if you know someone who needs assistance in breaking the cycle of violence here in Tampa Bay. Stay with us.